Hello guys, and welcome back to another skill point guide video for Total War Warhammer 3 on Immortal Empires. Today we'll be going over Malekith, the Witch King. I really enjoyed Malekith. I played a campaign with him in my own time not too long ago, and I really did enjoy his campaign. Especially with the rework to the slave mechanic just a little bit. Definitely makes the Dark Elves more enjoyable than what it was in the previous patch. So without further ado, let's just kind of jump right in, because he is one of the legendary lords that has quite a few options at your disposal to choose from, so I kind of need to jump right in because it's going to be a pretty lengthy video. So anyway, starting with the blue line, I do like to go and get Dreaded Slaver, just that way you're getting more slaves after every fight, plus 25%, and you're going to be fighting with Malekith throughout the entirety of your campaign. He's a really good melee fighter. Even though he does have dark magic, you can make his spells work a little bit as well, especially once you get some of his legendary items. And so just, being able to capture more slaves after the battle has completed is always a good thing there. Now, in terms of his blue line, I don't go any further than that. I just like to get the Dreaded Slaver, and then I like to come to his red line and do Sheaf Master first, just because your units you're going to be able to get early on are going to be your Dark Shards or Black Arc Corsairs, and they're going to be your heavy hitters for you. They're going to do a lot of damage. They do armor piercing, if you're unfamiliar with them, at the cost of range, but they're really good units. They're pretty reliable, pretty far into your campaign until you're able to basically just afford Shades, and then at that point I definitely recommend getting Shades. And continuing with the red line, I do like to get Raid Leader because of that, giving them more melee defense, charge bonus, but the big one there is the missile strength. And as you're going through the blue and red line, you should unlock Tyrant or Warleader. It's really like no do this, do that. Like none of them is technically wrong. However, I feel like Warleader, after the rework to the slave mechanic for the Dark Elves, Warleader is just the better option. Tyrant does give you, control all provinces and income from buildings plus 5%, but the income from buildings plus 5% is basically worthless, and the control is very easily mitigated now for the Dark Elves with the dictates that you can pop down. So the control plus 1 all provinces just isn't that big of a deal. You can also offset it with the arena entertainment building tree as well, and so if it was like control plus 5, that'd be a different story, but it's just not worth it, in my opinion. The income from slaves plus 5%, again, the 5% is a minimal difference. It's just not that big of a help to your economy, even though it is faction wide. And the other ones just are local provinces. He's not going to be standing around. He's not going to be, just sitting around letting a province grow or reduce construction costs, that kind of thing. And again, the diplomatic relations plus 15 with Dark Elves, it needs to be like plus 50 for it to really make a difference. So it's just not that good. And again, local province stuff or winnowed province, it's just not going to be useful. Now, however, the reason with that, I do really like Warleader. Since the upkeep, for each additional army has been reduced in Warhammer 3, the upkeep, by 10% for all armies is very more beneficial. The income from post-battle loot plus 5% all characters is more beneficial, in my opinion, than the income from all buildings plus 5%, and the extra leadership plus 5 for his army is nice there. Now, even though most of these aren't faction-wide, although the Lord Recruit rank one is, the other ones are really good compared to the Tyrant special skill line, just because Malekith is going to be fighting all the time. He's a very powerful legendary lord. He's going to be fighting, your entire campaign. He's not a legendary lord that you're going to be kind of shy of as you progress in your campaign. So giving him more casualties captured post-battle loot means more slaves from you, more income from sacking, more income from looting, more magic item drop chance plus 25%, income from post-battle loot. So he's just going to be basically bringing you in loads of slaves, loads of income from post-battle loot. It's just going to massively help your economy, much more than, the 5% from slaves here and the 5% from income from all buildings there. So I definitely like Warleader over Tyrant because of that. Now, after going through this special skill line, I do like to go down his melee line first. Or, I mean, you can do either one. It kind of depends on what you focus on in terms of his items. If you end up getting his items early on, I recommend going down his magic line a little bit. Just not all of them, which I'll showcase it. But typically, like, I don't really rush getting the legendary items until I know I can win the battles effectively. And so I typically go down his melee line first. As you're leveling him up too, you'll get him on Seraphon, his dragon mount, so he'll be doing armor piercing damage. So as we go through and get all of his melee lines sorted out for him, you'll see just how powerful he really can be. Which is why I like to go down his melee line first, just because you start off with the game with a fire priestess or sorceress, I guess, in this matter. And so in terms of magic damage and output, she's going to be the one doing the bulk of the damage for you. It's just hands, night and day difference. Fire magic is vastly better and superior than dark magic. It's just the nature, it's the fact of the situation. So that's why I prioritize going down his melee line over his magic line. Again, if you end up getting his legendary items first, then it'll be a little bit different. But typically, I kind of save these until he's more leveled up anyway, in which case he needs to be more powerful in melee for those purposes there. But then after his melee line, I do like to come down and finish his red line first, because again, I normally kind of save his magic line for the end. And I just get Rally, Ravager rewards just to just to buff the shades a little bit more with some speed and range. And then getting standard die, again, is just a good ability to have. And then after that, I do come down his magic line. I put 2 points into Chill Wind. I get Power of Darkness and then Blade Wind. And Spiteful Conjuration, Word of Pain. It's kind of useful for a single entity, but unless you overcast it, it's not that beneficial. So I usually bypass it and just not worry about it. And then I just get Doombolt and Soul Stealer. I don't worry about the other ones. He doesn't have Greater Arcane Conduit, so it's not really that important that you go down and complete the rest of his magic line there. And so in terms of his magic line, this is usually just what I go with. It's just the spells out of him that I really like. That way he can at least heal himself, because he's going to be in melee quite often. And so that way he can at least heal himself a little bit in the battles there. And then your last 2 points, I just like to do spell resistance and the missile resistance with the Ward of Cain and the Ward of Hecate. Being a high damage dealer, he's a large entity. High, melee stats, well, just high stats all around. The enemy is going to, the AI rather, is going to focus on him a lot in the battle. And since he is a bigger target, he's going to need more missile resistance. They're going to, if they have Spirit Leech or any magic missile spells in their lore magic, they're going to be coming at him pretty heavy. So being able to reduce that damage as much as possible will definitely help him out there once you actually get into some battles. But anyway, I know that was a lot of talking, but that is how I decide and how I really like to level up Malekith. I know there's a lot of different ways, especially when you have these special skill lines that kind of lock each other out. There's a lot of different ways you can go about him, a lot of different ways you can play with him if you want to go with the kind of province route. There's a lot of different things you can do, but with that, let me know down in the comments how you guys decide to level him up. I'm always interested to hear how you guys decide to do that. And until the next video or live stream, I hope you guys have a good one, and I'll see you later. Bye.